Hello, welcome to this little video on Zoom. Why should I bother? My name is Paul Martinez. I'm a convener of several interest groups at Carlton and Gedling U3A, and I'd like to suggest that this is a really good way of getting your interest groups online. So basically, who is this video for? Well, it's mainly for U3A interest group leaders. You may call them conveners, perhaps facilitators. It may be for the helpful for interest group coordinators in your U3A. And of course, it may be of interest to national subject advisors if they're wanting to suggest to their interest groups how they might get online. This is focusing on Zoom, but of course there are lots of alternatives. There's Facebook Messenger Rooms, there's Google Meet, there's Microsoft Teams, etc., etc. It does seem though that Zoom is perhaps one of the most used meeting forms of social conferencing, and of course much of the U3A effort has actually been devoted to supporting U3As in their take-up of Zoom. So this is concentrating on Zoom, although of course, actually, it pretty much applies to all of the other platforms that you could wish. Okay, so why bother? Why on earth are we going to do or have to learn all this new technology? Oh my goodness me. I think there are 5 reasons. Firstly, it obviously overcomes the problems of social distancing and lockdowns. I mean, my groups have all been meeting on Zoom for several months, and they can go on so until forever, really. Secondly, new opportunities. We never had a film group in my U3A, and then we found that actually we could watch films on free streaming platforms and then meet to discuss them and have an interest group on film in a way that we never expected to before. Thirdly, most of us actually do have lives outside of U3A, and so if you know how to use Zoom, you can use it for any purpose that you wish, keeping in touch with friends, keeping in touch with family, etc. Fourthly, it's extremely easy to use Zoom. The barriers are absolutely minimal, and this is one of a suite of 5 videos where I look at what you need to do to get on Zoom, and actually it's all pretty easy. And then lastly, actually it's quite good for us to learn new stuff, so this could give you some new skills which indeed you might want to be able to pass on to others. Okay, so are there any interest groups that can't go online? I mean, really, it seems to me that most interest groups you can. Foreign languages, conversation groups, that's a cinch, really. Coffee mornings, why not? Discussion groups, yes, of course they lend themselves to Zoom. In fact, actually, arguably, it's easier to have a discussion on Zoom where you're staring into each other's faces than it is around a table. History, we'll come on to that. Reading groups, of course, you've read a book together and now you can look at your, you can compare your views, etc., etc. The Scottish country dancing, you might think, well, that's a bit difficult, but there's actually a separate video in this suite of videos actually demonstrating how you can do Scottish country dancing online. So let's look at an example with history, and I've just randomly chosen the Battle of Waterloo. You could name any historical subject you choose, and what I did, I went onto YouTube and I just randomly put in the search term Battle of Waterloo on YouTube, and this is what happened. I got a whole load of videos, okay, and I saved them to a playlist, and this is the playlist. Let's look at the first just couple of items. The first one is from Epic History TV, and it's the Napoleonic Wars, the Battle of Waterloo 1815. There's one underneath that, National Geographic, a 360-degree view of the Battle of Waterloo. The third one from the Armchair Historian, how did Napoleon lose Waterloo? I'm not going to go on and on. I mean, basically, what I'm saying is you would be absolutely amazed. Whatever you look for on YouTube, chances are that you may well find a lot of resources which may be of interest to your interest group members. Okay, let's have another example. What about craft? And again, all I did was go onto YouTube. I put in the search term embroidery, And this is what we got. A whole a load of videos, all of which are very interesting. Just looking at this list, the top one is basic embroidery techniques from Craftsy. The next one is from Chloe Wen, Embroidery 101. The third one is hand embroidery for beginners from Natalie Mack, and so on and so forth. I mean, basically, there is almost no end to the riches of YouTube materials. Okay. You might say, well, that's easy. Anyone could do embroidery and history online. What about something difficult? What about something like an outdoor pursuit? What about something like mountaineering? Surely you can't possibly do mountaineering online. And of course, you can in one sense. I mean, anyone can get their interest group together. You can have a chat. You can perhaps think about things you will do in the future, or share stories from what you've done in the past. But I want to show you what sort of things are available from YouTube. So basically, again, I just put in the search term mountaineering, and this is what happened. I got a whole load of videos, just looking at the top 3. Winter skills 3.5, climbing technique on high grade 1 and 2 climbs from Team BMC. The second one is rope skills for scrambling 1 using a rope, again from Team BMC. The third one, basic knowledge for alpine climbing, a tutorial from Autobox International. Do I need to keep making the same point? I mean, basically, there are a tremendous number of learning resources which you can use from YouTube. Okay, having said all that, what about copyright, you say? It is a bit complicated, and you want to be very, very careful if you are thinking of making a recording and posting it publicly on the internet where anyone could find it. Okay, so you need to be very cautious in that respect. However, for our purposes, the sort of interest group usage of videos for educational purposes in a live context and in a private U3A interest group, which is constituted for learning and educational purposes, I think it's rather easier. However, if you want to have a look at the advice from the U3A, it is on the National U3A website, and there is a link at the bottom of this slide showing you where to find it. There are 5 videos in this suite of videos. The first one is the one you've just been looking at, why should I bother? The second one is get your interest group online in 5 simple steps. The third one is Zoom screen sharing. I mean, screen sharing is probably the most useful single control for interest group leaders and conveners. And the fourth one is Zoom for every U3A interest group, where I demonstrate incontrovertibly that you can actually run a Scottish country dancing group online. And then the last one is hosting your U3A interest group on Zoom. Okay, so over to you. I hope you've been inspired to actually explore this issue. Best wishes for your new online interest group. And there is an address here for comments and feedback. And just to sign off, as I say, I come from Gartner-Geddon U3A, and I'm also chair of the U3A recruitment working group. Anyway, good luck with your online interest group.